Mark Wahlberg's appearance on The View was supposed to be nothing more than another routine stop on the promotional circuit. He had a polished press schedule, a lineup of morning interviews, and a few light-hearted chats with hosts who would toss him questions about his latest movie. Walking onto the set that day, Wahlberg flashed his usual easy smile, waving to the applauding audience. His casual confidence made it seem like just another comfortable sit-down, the kind he could do in his sleep. But from the moment the conversation began, there was an undercurrent in the air, a faint hum of tension that signaled this interview might not go the way he expected. Whoopi Goldberg opened with pleasantries, but her sharp, knowing tone hinted she had a point to press. After a brief exchange about Wahlberg's film, an action thriller with themes of redemption and family loyalty, Goldberg pivoted. She brought up comments Wahlberg had made in a past magazine interview, where he discussed faith, responsibility, and how actors should think carefully about the messages their work sends into the world. It was a thoughtful remark at the time, but framed by Goldberg, it carried an edge. "Mark," she said, leaning in across the table, "you've been very outspoken about what you think Hollywood should be doing, especially when it comes to faith and responsibility. Don't you think that sounds a little judgmental? As if you're putting yourself above the rest of the industry." The room seemed to still. Wahlberg chuckled politely, a practiced move to deflect heat. "No, not at all," he replied. "I'm just saying we have a responsibility. People look up to us. If we're going to influence millions, let's do it in a positive way." But Goldberg didn't blink. She pressed again, her voice firm, her expression unreadable. "Positive according to who? You. What makes your perspective more valid than anyone else's at this table, or in this business?" The audience murmured, sensing sparks. Wahlberg's smile faltered, replaced by a tightened jaw. He leaned forward, his Boston accent sharpening. "I'm not trying to play moral police. I'm speaking from experience, from mistakes I've made and lessons I've learned. That's all." Joy Behar jumped in with a sly grin. "Well, if everyone in Hollywood had to live by your lessons, Mark, half the industry would be unemployed." The audience burst into laughter, but Wahlberg didn't join in. His eyes flicked from Behar back to Goldberg, who was still watching him with the kind of look that dared him to back down. The back and forth escalated in subtle waves. Wahlberg attempted to redirect to his movie, praising his co-stars and the film's director, but Goldberg cut in, circling back to his earlier words. "It just sounds like you're saying there's a right way and a wrong way to be in this business. And I don't buy that," she said flatly. A low ripple of gasps rolled through the audience. Wahlberg exhaled slowly, his hand drumming lightly on the table. "Look," he said, his tone firmer now, "I came here to talk about the film, not to be twisted around like this." His posture shifted from casual guest to embattled defender. The cameras caught every detail. Goldberg's raised eyebrow, Behar smirking as if waiting for more, and Wahlberg's increasingly tense shoulders. The laughter from earlier had quieted. The studio now felt less like a talk show set and more like a boxing ring, with the audience leaning forward in their seats as if anticipating the next punch. For Wahlberg, the heat of the exchange was becoming undeniable. He glanced toward the producers off stage, then back at the table, where Goldberg waited, arms folded. His attempt to keep the interview lighthearted had evaporated, replaced by a growing frustration that every word he spoke was being twisted into something larger, something combative. The breaking point was near, though no one watching yet knew how close he was to walking away. In that moment, the atmosphere inside the studio shifted from tense to electric. Mark Wahlberg sat back, his expression hardening as Goldberg's words landed with the weight of a gavel. The audience had gone quiet, sensing the tension rising like a storm cloud overhead. He adjusted his jacket, drew in a breath, and gave a clipped response. "I came here to talk about the movie, not to be attacked." His voice was calm but charged, like someone trying to hold back a surge of emotion. The remark echoed across the set, puncturing the fragile layer of civility that had held the conversation together. The live audience gasped. Some clapped nervously, others whispered to each other as though they had just witnessed the spark that might ignite something bigger. The camera caught Whoopi Goldberg's reaction, a wry smile, a subtle shake of her head, and the quiet confidence of someone who knew she'd rattled her guest. "Nobody's attacking you, Mark," she said, her tone laced with irony. "We're just having a conversation." But Wahlberg wasn't convinced. His jaw clenched tighter as he pushed his chair back with a sharp scrape that cut through the murmurs. He rose to his feet deliberately, towering over the table, and looked directly at Goldberg. "If this is your idea of a conversation, then I think we're done here." The audience erupted again, this time in a mixture of cheers, gasps, and awkward laughter. The camera crew scrambled to follow his movements as he removed his microphone pack with swift, irritated hands. He didn't slam it down, he wasn't reckless, but the gesture was final enough to convey his frustration. The sound engineers winced as the mic went dead. As Wahlberg strode off stage, the tension hung in the air like static. Producers in headsets rushed to the wings, one reaching out as though to coax him back, but Wahlberg didn't break stride. His broad frame disappeared behind the curtain, leaving an empty chair at the table and a wave of stunned silence behind him. The host sat frozen for a beat before Goldberg, ever the professional, took a slow sip of her tea. With impeccable timing, she quipped, "Well, that's Hollywood for you." The line, delivered with just the right amount of bite, cracked the audience's nervous silence and drew a ripple of laughter. Joy Behar leaned back in her chair, eyebrows raised, clearly amused by the spectacle. Sunny Hostin, sitting further down the table, looked caught between disbelief and concern, her eyes darting toward the stage exit as if to confirm that Wahlberg was truly gone. The director called for a commercial break, and the show's theme music blared, cutting off the chatter. But backstage, the drama was far from over. Wahlberg, pacing in the hallway, was already on his phone, muttering to his team. Crew members whispered anxiously, debating whether he would return after the break or if the segment had ended in disaster. On social media, the moment had already escaped the confines of the studio. Clips of Wahlberg rising from his chair and Goldberg's unbothered quip began circulating within minutes. Twitter lit up with hashtags, hashtag Wahlberg walks out, hashtag the view clash, hashtag whoopifsmark. Fans argued furiously in real time, some applauding Wahlberg for standing his ground, others praising Goldberg for refusing to let a Hollywood star dictate the terms of a conversation. When the show returned from commercial, the empty chair remained conspicuously vacant. Goldberg addressed the elephant in the room with her signature bluntness. "Sometimes guests don't like the heat," she said, looking straight into the camera. "But this is the view. We don't shy away from tough conversations." The audience applauded, some louder than others, while Behar muttered a sarcastic aside that drew another burst of laughter. By the end of the episode, Wahlberg's name was trending across every platform. Headlines began popping up online within the hour, framing the moment as everything from a fiery clash to a publicity stunt gone wrong. Publicists scrambled to spin the story, while fans debated whether the actor had been ambushed or whether he simply couldn't handle Goldberg's line of questioning. What was meant to be an ordinary promotional interview had transformed into a viral cultural flashpoint. And as the dust settled, one thing was clear: whether you sided with Wahlberg or Goldberg, the showdown had ensured that neither the movie nor the morning talk show would be forgotten anytime soon. The aftermath of Wahlberg's walkout, media frenzy, fan reactions, official statements. Possible behind-the-scenes leaks from producers or Wahlberg's team. How Goldberg, The View, and Wahlberg himself deal with the controversy in the days that follow.